manufacturing in the continent which it comes from? Or all we doing is sowing generational wealth into other families because of our insecurities? 70% of the black dollar goes to luxury goods and apparel. And all we do is influence what other people buy and consume it ourselves. The time is over for that. The time of essence is to dress in ourselves, and when we dress like slaves, we're wearing brands of other people, building up their generational wealth, talking about black power. Do a damn lie, ain't nothing powerful about that. We gotta get our health right, because you can't be a man if you ain't working out and exercising. You can't do 20 push-ups, or you think because you got a new Tesla truck that means something, you got an AP on your wrist that means something, or somebody slap you in your face, you can't protect yourself. Fat boy. I'm calling out today. We understand that the Jezebel spirit that they try to showcase the black woman is so they can do anything they wanted to her and say she wanted it. But then we pimp ourselves out with that same image and celebrate it. Is that culture? Every single one of your family and friends should have shown up today. But they did because they're not the chosen ones. You was chosen to be here in this time, in this space, in this place.
Talk about it.
Because it's your time.
Yeah.
It's our time. It is a time where political reliance is going to a low. This is the RNC and the DNC. If it represents black people, it's here. And when you walk outside, the way you make yourself, and the way we shape a new future, is by putting a depth of knowledge and courage and virtues and values in you so that the next generation becomes a reflection of what you became. So it's past ambitions. We have to start to aspire to become more. What do we want to become? Where do we want to go? Today, we about to get rid of that ignorant, low-level conversation. And we about to have us a what? We about to have us a what? So I got some special guys in the building. They don't operate in the corporate meritocracy. They don't operate within the government. They don't operate in the systems. They're not afraid to dress how they want, talk how they want, speak how they want, and they still make millions. Isn't that freedom? I said, isn't that freedom? Are we a free people? We stop being afraid to speak like one, to think like one, to walk like one, to talk like one, to be like 19 Keys, to be like Billy Carson, to be like Yahki Awaken, to be like the God that's in you. Because when I talk to you and I see you, I'm not talking to that weak, insecure, trying to grab your confidence and manhood self. I'm talking to the God in you. And if you can't resonate with that spirit, then you're dead. We think these moments on stage is entertainment. This is a cosmic shift on the planet Earth. This is us taking back our rulership. Are y'all ready for the gods to come up? Well, the first brother I want to bring up, I believe that I'm very familiar with him. He goes by the name of Billy Carson. Can y'all stand on your feet and make some noise for the cosmic God as he comes out here? I want y'all to shake the energy up. How many people here have been sick? Some of y'all sick right now. It's still stuck. It's all right. It's going off on nobody. But if you got an ailment, you got an issue, you got something that needs to be treated. This next brother out here is a plethora of knowledge. This brother can go backwards and forward in time of recorded history, break down civilizations, ancient past and forward, and have damn near perfect recall memory. I always tell people, when you look at Billy Carson, don't just listen to what he's saying. Look at who he became. This is a black man, but they try to make it seem like it's an outlier. No, this is the normal. This is the culture. And if anybody got a problem, tell them to come see me. And I'm sorry. So the next brother I want to bring out is a brother who's from one neighborhood, I come from Oakland, and you can bring that bar song out the streets so they can elevate the people. Y'all make some noise for Yahki Awaken.
What y'all gonna leave with today is something that you can take with you and apply it and get results. We just ain't up here talking spookism and talking about this and talking about that. We finna give y'all some real life transformation type of situations. Alright? So y'all ready? Alright, let's do it.
Alright, my brothers. Alright, so let's start this off with health. Because what I've been noticing is a lot of us are sick. I mean, we ill, spiritually, mentally, financially sick. And I think this as a health crisis. Right? During COVID-19, they looked at the disparities of black health and they kept propagating it. But at the same time, they were telling you go get a vaccine and crispy cribs. So when I look at the way that black men are thinking and operating and moving and black women, if we're sick right now, where do we start at the root? Because I've been studying a lot about being in nature. There's a concept called Yahki. And in the 1980s, the Japanese government would take people out into the forest because it was such a big mental health issue crisis that was going on, and they would have you spend 2 days in the forest. And what it showed is it decreased cortisol levels by 50%. And increase cancer-killing cells in your body. So this was their way of practicing holistic methods in medicine to heal their people. If we are people that are sick at the root, where do we start?
Well, what you mentioned is called nature deficiency order. And it just shows us as a biological people here from this earth, being around trees, being around running water, seeing the color green, which is chlorophyll. All of these things come with frequencies, and what these things does is it actually relaxes and it brings on something called the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is what brings on cortisol, what brings on adrenaline. These are all what they call your fear, fight, or flight chemistry and hormones that go outside the body. They roam around the body. But when you're in nature, what nature does is it brings on serotonin, it brings on melatonin, it brings on oxytocin, dopamine. These are your happy chemicals and your happy hormones. But to answer the question, I think the first place we should start with health is with our mindset, with the environment, and knowing who we are biologically. We have been taught that everybody in this room is made and comprised of the same things, and we're not. Now, of course, we all share amino acids, we all share minerals and things like that, but depending on who you were created by, I'm pretty sure we'll get into this, we got different type of markers and different genetic codes that was mixed in us differently. So, since black people are more mineral dense than any other people on planet Earth, that means we require more minerals. It's a fact. You can actually, for a dead body, if a body died and they got burnt, and they came to the corpse and they didn't know what the corpse was, what they would do is they'd check the bones of that body and they'd check the teeth. Well, based off the mineral composition and the mineral density of those skeleton structures, they can tell you whether it was Caucasian, whether it was so-called African American or not. So I think the first step to health is everybody is not treated the same way when we sick. Everybody can't eat the same foods. Everybody got different blood types. Everybody got different anatomy and physiology. So I think understanding who we is as a people, that's when we can truly tap into our health. Like you came out here talking about culture. We're in a European culture and mindset. So we eat European foods. We're learning European histories. We're following a European guide. And we done got out of our, basically we got out of our indigenous mindset. So once we get back into our mindset, then that's when we can really find help.
Thank you. And Carson, can you go at it from a DNA perspective?
Yeah. When we analyze the DNA, predominantly even of African Americans, just like we said, Yahki, we see there's a lot of significant differences between us and a lot of other races of people. It's just a scientific fact. As a matter of fact, when you look into the genetics of black people, you look at these scientific studies that come out, they're not based on black people. The scientific studies are based on middle-aged Caucasian Europeans. And then the doctor's going to prescribe you medication and pharmaceuticals based on a middle-aged European, but you're a black person, right? At various different ages. So those things typically don't apply to you. Understanding that we have specific genes that can be activated, some are deactivated, and just like Yahki said, we're not like anyone else. Even going out in the sun, we need more sunlight than the average person, because what happens is when the sun comes down and reflects on our skin, the way our DNA is set up, and the way our melanin is set up, it actually spreads out the heat, the light, and the photons as heat. So we need to get more vitamin D, and the only way to do that is to stay in the sun longer, expose yourself to more sunlight so your body can absorb more of that energy, because we actually can alchemically convert that energy. And also, of course, understanding that our environment. So when you go out and finally find a way to get healthy, you have to go get a blood sample done, a blood panel, stool sample, and a saliva sample. That's going to give you a full picture of exactly where you are health-wise. And then you take that and you sit down and you analyze that along with a nutritionist and create something specifically just for you. Because like Yahki said, every single person is different. Some things I can't eat. There are things I can't eat spinach or kale because the oxalates and the lectins are going to give me leaky gut. I've already experienced that. I'm on my health journey back. And understanding that we all have DNA. Some of it is called junk DNA. But this junk DNA, no, it's not junk. They're just finding out that a lot of it has purpose. A lot of it is connected, and a lot of it is actually feeding into your system. So you want to be able to do things like clean up your environment, because there's so many things around us that's destroying our DNA. And junk DNA is wordplay. What they try to do is get you to add that word junk, thinking it's useless, it's worthless, and has nothing to do with anything. But it's one of our biggest powers, and I believe that we have a lot of that power within us, but we've been tricked into thinking we can't access it. And how they trick us not only by media, but they also trick us by the environment. We're talking about microplastics, which are everywhere. They find microplastics in our testicles now. Microplastics is outrageous. We have to start cleaning up our environment, understanding what we're eating, what we're drinking, where we're going to eat, what kind of oils are they using where we're going to eat. All those things are damaging our DNA, damaging our genetics, activating genes that bring on dis-ease, which leads to disease, and then you end up pushing up daisies. So we have to understand that and realize that in ancient times, there was a much different system. And the way that things were laid out, of course, initially, it was based on the genetic makeup of the human body. And they were feeding people based on that in different regions of the planet. No matter where you were indigenously, your surroundings provided everything your body needed. And now, like you said, more European. So we have to keep that in mind. And we have to find out who we are and know more about our bodies than the doctors. Because the doctors have a practice.
And there's ways to do that, Billy. So what we do at my clinic, I got 2 clinics in St. Louis, Missouri. We do exactly what you said. So we also have a fully accredited laboratory in Houston, Texas. That's where we send all of our blood off and genes off to do gene testing and to do blood analysis. What we notice is, if you know about amino acids, raise your hand. Amino acids, y'all see that? They teach y'all that in school. Have anybody heard of a carboxylic acid? Carboxylic acid. See, you see, there's only a few hands. So even when you get into the structure of amino acid and carboxylic acids, we are more prone to have more carbon acids or carboxylic acids in our bodies than European, which have amino acids. Then you break these down into their subgroups, and you look at amino acids, it's built off of nitrogen, it's built off of ammonia, and it's built off of sulfur. These are your 3 main key ingredients that makes up a European. But when you look at it in ours is selenium, ours is copper, ours is melanin and carbon. So say if I do a genetic test on you and I get a genetic test on you based off the genetics you're missing, I know whether you're not getting serotonin or not. I know why your genes are not being turned on based off of who you are, your molecular structure. So what we do at our clinic is, if you come into my clinic, we give you a genetic test and we give you a full blood and comprehensive panel. And based off of that and who you are, your physiology, I know exactly what to put back into your body. Billy mentioned something very interesting. He was talking about vitamin D3, and he was talking about how all of their blood work and all of of their testing and their pharmaceuticals is built off of the standard of a 40-year-old white man. So if you send a 14-year-old African American to the clinic right now, into the emergency room, all of their standards and statistics is based off a 40-year-old Caucasian male. How can it help out this 14-year-old black girl? So we have to start approaching health and wellness as individuals. And that's the only way we can get healed and get help. And you was talking about you was talking about vitamin D. They don't even have the machines to even measure our vitamin D correctly. And Europeans, they measure the vitamin D3 inside their bloodstream. Our sun does something different. We go through something called biophotomodulation. Meaning when the longer we sit in the sun, we have a way of dispersing the energy of the sun. And they don't only go in our bloodstream, but it goes deep into the middle of our cells. And they don't even have technology to measure that yet. That's why at least 80% of y'all, so-called black people in this room right now, is vitamin D3 deficient. But in fact, you're not really vitamin D3 deficient. They just don't have the right technology to test yours. So this is what we talk about when we're talking about culture. The word culture means to cultivate. Cultivate comes from cultivation. This is former talk. This is permaculture and agriculture talk. This means to grow something. So bringing this from a health standpoint, if we know that there's not no technology out here that's really able to test our vitals, if we know that the blood work is based off of a 40-year-old Caucasian, then shouldn't we change the blood work panel to fit us? Shouldn't we create technologies and get together and figure out how to create the utensils and tools to really measure our vitamin D3? I'm asking y'all a question.
Talk back to us.
So this is what Keys and Billy is talking about. Culture, really taking the bull by the horns and creating things for our situation and our needs. And I'm gonna give it right back to you. I just want to do a quote. This came from John Henry Clark and Dr. Amos Wilson. He said the point and purpose of a culture is to meet the needs of a people and to solve the problems of a people. So if it's not meeting our needs and it's not solving our problem, then we can't call it culture.
So a lot of you all heard of identity politics, right? Right? But what we talk about is biopolitics. Because we're not really getting to the deep in the root of things. And at the core root is what it means to be radical. So somebody may say you're radical because you get to the root of the problem. And everything we're addressing is at the root. As we talk about sun, I often ask people, number one, are you living at your 100%? Now, if I say mentally or physically, let's start physically. Physically, do you have your 100% body? Do you have energy when you awake? Do you reach peak levels of energy? Is your body fit? Can you run a mile? Can you do push-ups? Right? Throughout the day. Is this the body you would choose if God gave you a choice? Then why is it the body that you choose every day? You choose to maintain the body with the habits that you have. So that we can live at a higher frequency, that's the top floor, or the bottom floor. The bottom floor means eat whatever you want to, be inconsistent, do not care whatsoever, and you just stay there, rent-free family. The top floor requires you to change habits, change who you're around, what you do, where you go to. So therefore it changes the reality that you live. When I started focusing on my 100% physical, I had to think about protecting myself when we talk about being a man. If a man can't protect himself, he cannot protect his woman. So if you have a physically weak and strained body, a biological weak man, then he cannot help his woman. So therefore he cannot be the man, so then she has to step in place, creating an imbalance within our culture or over the vast society. So how many of you all would love to live at your 100% self? So as we go into this, I want you to think about yourself, and you have to imagine it in your mind. Right? I remember I was watching Creed 3, and I said I want to be on Creed 4. So I decided that that was my goal. Next thing you know, I look like Creed 5. But my 100% self said I need to go out there with combat skills. I need to be out there strong. I can't see another man doing stuff that I know the only reason he can do it because he challenges himself. The mid-interior cingulate cortex is the seat of the willpower of the brain. When you do things that you don't want to do, your willfulness grows. Your will to live grows. People People always tell you, do what you love, do what you hate. Because the things that we hate to do are the very things that will showcase the love that we have for ourselves and each other. So I decided to share this stage with my brothers because we hate to collaborate. We hate to build with one another. These brothers have so much wealth of knowledge. But when we all stars, we create a universe. The problem is when we try to outshine each other because of this inferior complex, thinking that you need to be more significant than the one you're standing next to, where the focus should be grown. That's a pledge y'all taking to live at your 100% self. Now, I want to get us to an idea about our 100% cosmic age. We're in this age now where we see scientific and technological revolutions. We see a generation going through a spiritual awakening. In the early ages of 5 years old, they already have an eco-consciousness. They've been worried about the planet Earth and they're all about themselves. They don't want to buy new clothes, they want to go thrift shop. Because there has been a change in the way that they see themselves. They see themselves as part of a grand scheme of things versus just being everything revolving around them. Our generation has been selfish and ego-based, but everything revolves around me like we not the universe. So as we talk about a cosmic age, and we talk about this one being a culture moving forward, what is the cosmic age philosophy that we should move forward on?
So me, just I'm speaking from a personal standpoint, it would help me out. Just being about chemistry, being about biology, just being in the laboratory, just looking at cells. What I looked at in cells and energy, especially when you get into magnetism, everything is like this pulsing sensation in the universe. It's like the universe have a language of bringing things in and bringing things out, bringing things in and bringing things out. So we're not really even doing nothing new because the fathers and the daughters of old was doing this before. The knowledge goes back and the ancient technology goes back a long time. I just think now we're finally catching up to that consciousness and it's renewing itself. There's really nothing new in this universe. It's all in this big old great pool of potential, this ether. So I think tapping into oneself is how we get out of this, loving ourselves more and wanting to see the brother next to us or the sister next to us doing better than us. That's the way we get out of this. Literally look at you and say, dang, man, I see you in the mirror. Let me supply. You know what I'm saying? If I got a whole abundance of wealth and I know that you need something, let me step in and help you out. And that's how it used to be. I remember my grandmother used to take care of the whole neighborhood. Anybody can come to her house to eat. Anybody can sit at her table. She didn't know you from a can of paint, but she had helped you out and she used to glue this stuff that stuck my neighborhood together. And it seems like that we missing that because what you was talking about, that insignificant, type of thinking that we're coming in and wanting to step on each other's toes. So I think the way about it is knowledge, information, and the love for oneself and the love for your brother and sister for real. And I know that sounds corny, but man,
it's real. I think the most practical information is the wisest. Because it's the one that's easiest for people to absorb in or use. And I think that this generation that's coming is going to teach us more than anything because they already have the wisdom in them, in their actions. They already fight against systems. They already do not want to participate in these institutions. They already thinking, how do I not waste so much and be productive as a citizen of the cosmos, a citizen of Earth, right? They already teaching us a new way, and they are the future.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. The youth is the future, which is why I try to tap into the youth as much as I can, because that literally is the future. And when you look at the generation that I came from and some of us came from here, it's based on competition with no collaboration. It's based on they want to see you do better than them, but not really better than them. And that kind of jealousy mindset and that pocket watching has kind of almost destroyed an entire two generations, really. And this is not genetic memories. This is going back to ancient times. It's going back to understanding that science has discovered 15 to 20 years of your memories that you're having right now, experiencing in your body is coming through the epigenetics, through the RNA of the man, going back 15 to 20 generations. And all the stuff that happened to us through the turmoil of slavery and everything else is in our bodies. And so that divide and conquer system that was put in place for hundreds of years is still propagating through us to this very day. The fortunate thing for us is the younger generation is beginning to realize, wait a minute, they want to ask questions. They say, wait a minute, if you can't answer this question, right now, a lot of